This episode is brought to you by Tanmay Shah. That's me. Best way to support this show is by sharing this with your friends and dropping a comment and review on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can become my patron and a sponsor. That's not all. You can buy Rocklaz merchandise and NFTs and much more. See all the links in description for details.
Rocklaz Radio.
Rocklaz.
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 Rocklaz Radio with Tanmay Shah.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Rocklaz Radio. On today's special episode, we have with us Objkt.com and Tezos, and representing Objkt is a key person, Ombeline or Cabline, as you know her. So is that a correct pronunciation? Ombeline?
It's Ombeline, but don't
Ombeline.
worry, even the French don't usually know how to pronounce. Thank you so much for inviting me. So I'm very happy to be there.
Tezos is such a close-knit community and it is trending now, and it has always been there before Ethereum and other platforms started rising in 2021. I've seen it then, and even now it is very strong. So we would love to talk to you about Tezos and Ethereum. So first of all, what is your role at Objkt?
So I'm in charge of the curation at Objkt. It means several things. Every day I organize mini exhibitions, which means I select a few pieces which are displayed on the front page, and it's around a particular thematic. And other than that, I'm involved in Objekt1, which has been launched recently and aims at bringing the focus on one pieces. So I'm also the curator for this. So for that, me and the other curator, Kika Nicolela, who has joined us recently, we are communicating with the artists, writing a curatorial statement, in general bringing more context to the art. And aside from that, I answer questions from time to time from artists and from collectors. And yes, that's basically it.
And you didn't mention the most important role that you play in simplifying Tezos and Objkt for us through your Medium blogs and support on Medium on Discord. So thank you so much for that. That's how I got to know about you. So all those documents that you read about Objkt are written by Cabline to onboard collectors as well as artists. All the FAQs and wiki about Objkt have been written by our guest today, Cabline. So welcome to the show. It's so nice to have you. How did you join Objkt?
Well, first, I'm happy that my documents helped, so thank you for this. And how did I join Objkt? Well, I joined as the first employee, so I was there quite early. It was in June, and maybe I need to tell you why I was on Tezos already. So I discovered Tezos. I discovered Iketnunk, which was a marketplace, in April 2021. So it was quite early because it was created in March 2021. And I discovered it by chance. I was looking for information on cryptos. Then I found some posts about crypto art. And I found some very nice art, and I thought, oh, what is this? It's great. And I discovered Iketnunk, and I started there as a collector. And I was very involved in the community. And then there was Objkt, which was created. And Objkt at the beginning, it allowed to create auctions on pieces which were minted on Iketnunk. So if you wanted to do an auction on a piece, it wasn't possible on Iketnunk, and it was possible on Objkt, which was called Objkt.bid at the time. And I was one of the first users of Objkt because I was bidding on a piece by Laurence Fuller, who did an auction, and I won the piece, actually, at the time. And I was loving Objkt. It was very simple to use. And at the same time, I was looking for a job. And I posted on Twitter because my dream was to work in art, and if it could be linked to NFTs in a way, it would, for me, it was a dream. But I thought, yeah, okay, I will post on Twitter. Why not trying that? But I was not thinking that it would lead to something. It was just like that. Let's try. But I didn't expect actually that everything would go so fast. There was a collector called Chris Wallace, who I had been speaking. I'd been speaking with him because we were collecting at the same time, and he knew the Objkt team, and he said, "Oh, maybe He said on Twitter she would be great as a curator." And the artist said, "Oh, yeah, maybe she would be nice too," because I had been posting on Twitter regularly some posts called Hidden Gems, where I highlighted pieces from underrepresented artists. So they knew me from that. And following these recommendations, I had an interview with the team, and I explained to them what I had been doing, and I got hired as the first employee. And then everything went very fast. It was the beginning of the platform. Now I'm there, and we have grown a lot. And honestly, I was extremely lucky. So that's the long version to explain how.
Couple of things I want to highlight. You are the first employee of Objkt, which has become the platform, the biggest platform on Tezos. It is the marketplace you should know and you should go to. Second thing is Lawrence Fuller, whom you started an auction on. He was there on our podcast on Rocklaz Radio, so the viewers can find a link here and on the top to that episode. So amazing poet, amazing actor, and his piece with the music, poetry, and artwork are just fabulous. So glad to be talking about him. Third thing is, Objkt came into picture. I've been in NFT since early 2021. Objkt started coming into conversations and in picture after Iketnunk had gone down. It discontinued, and then Objkt was suddenly in the news that, okay, all the things that you had put on Iketnunk can be seen on Objkt. You can relist it and do things there on Objkt. And now when we talk about Tezos, it is only Objkt that comes into conversations. There's no other platforms. There used to be Cabline1 and all, but I haven't heard about them in a long time. Many of my friends, shout out to Kato, they're doing a contest, which we'll have another episode on for Tezos special, bringing in $9,000 and more for a contest on Tezos. So it's great to have you here. Let's get to fundamentals about Tezos. I always had this question about Tezos. What makes it special? What do you think? What makes Tezos blockchain what it is?
Okay, so I'm not going to enter into technical details because I'm not the right person to ask, but I think Tezos is, for Tezos, the important thing is art, the art community on Tezos compared to other blockchain. It is very, very strong. And that was because when Iketnunk started in March 2021, a lot of artists joined for ecological reasons. And, the whole thing, proof of work versus proof of stake thing. And they joined for ecological reasons. So there was, for instance, Joanie Lemercier, who is an artist who always is very conscious of the ecological impact of everything. So he decided to choose Tezos for this particular reason, and a lot of artists followed him. And so there was that at the beginning, that marked the beginning of a strong artistic community, which is still there today. Of course, it's still there are still some scams sometimes, like on every blockchain, and but it's very strongly focused on art, and I think it's the most important. It's a big part of Tezos, the art community.
Did the founders of Tezos envision that this is going to be a chain just for artists or artworks? What do you think?
That I'm not sure, because Objkt was founded in 2021, so that was long after. I don't know, because I haven't spoken to them. Maybe they did, but I
Let's
don't
find
know
out.
about that.
Yeah,
But what I can say is that they noticed that the art community is important, so that's why they created the Tezos permanent collection with Misa Nariman as the curator. So they noticed that the art community is important, but have they thought about it since the beginning? I don't know.
Okay. No, I don't hear Degns talking or crypto Degns talking about Tezos that much. Why do you think that is the case? They only talk about Bitcoins, trading, Ethereum, and Polygon and other things. Why isn't Tezos a part of that discussion?
The thing is, I don't follow anymore. It's been 1 year since I last looked at the price of Tezos, because I don't hold cryptos anymore, but the price of Tezos was quite stable, but I mean not something you could really speculate on. So I guess that, some other coins, you can speculate on it more. So they will talk about that more. And then the other ones, they are just, Ethereum and Bitcoin, it's just the very first thing that, the first name of crypto that you hear, even when you're not into crypto. But I don't know the reasons, because I'm not involved in these digits.
You're an art curator. So Tezos was a solution when Ethereum prices had gone up, even back in 2021, and sometimes whenever Ethereum prices would go up, people used to start coming on Tezos, and it's still, I see the trend in that. But there's even Polygon and other chains that had come up. So why does Tezos beat Polygon and other chains which are solution for low gas fees for artists?
Because the artists were already there. So I suppose when you already, you already minted your art on the marketplace, it's complicated to start with another crypto on another blockchain and another marketplace, because you need to adapt, and it's complicated. There are some artists who do that, who have NFTs in all blockchains, but it's most of them. I think the ones who were on Tezos, sometimes they go to super rare, they use Ethereum, and Solana too. But it's a long process to start with a new marketplace, and complicated, especially for the people who come from the traditional art world.
Absolutely. I remember days of early 2021 where there were a lot of artists, especially from Latin America, who were there on Hiketnank and Indonesia and other parts of the world, who were already there on Tezos before. I mean, Tezos was the first place they had onboarded to for NFTs. So I clearly remember that. And always since then, Tezos and Objkt and other platforms on Tezos have been about community, about being there, being fearless about what you want to mint. Any kind of artworks you can mint and keep. Anything experimental you can do without being afraid of things. What do you think about that?
Yes, well, there were the low gas fees, which allow you to mint and to burn easily without having to worry about the fees. There is also the fact that the art is very diverse and the community is very open. So you have a lot within the big Tezos community. You have a lot also of small communities per art style. So if you are doing AI art and you want to do photography or the opposite, you can talk with the other people from the community and mint easily. Post on Twitter some work in progress or some experimentations to ask for advice. And the thing is, on Tezos, the artists help each other a lot. So, of course, there are always some dramas, but overall, I see that new artists, when they start a new kind of art, they are really supported a lot. I saw a Brazilian artist who started doing pixel art, and it was better and better and better, and the other pixel artists supported him saying, oh, there is this new pixel artist, support him, etc. And I think that's what's great on Tezos.
Absolutely. It's very supportive. I want to talk to you about community, and we'll go in the art just after this question. How were your initial days in Objkt, and who founded Objkt, and what was their vision when they were starting Objkt?
So the first days of Objkt, how were they? I'm not sure how to explain, because I arrived a bit after the first days. When I arrived, it was the launch of the Tezos, which was a big PFP project, and which was very successful. Project made by, oh my god, I wrote it, who is an amazing artist. And it was very busy when I joined because of the nature of this project. Objkt, at the beginning, when I joined, there were 3 people, the 3 co-founders, and you can find them on Twitter. So you can maybe...
Can you name? Name these?
Yeah, I'm not sure which handle they have on Twitter, but NFT Protector, Brian.Tez, I think that's his handle, and Marching Square are the 3 co-founders, but I will send you the Twitter links after as well. And there are 3 developers. One of them is an artist, and yes, already minted some art. He did a project on FXH. And yes, so 3 developers, 3 co-founders. So during the first days, there were the 3 of them, and then me. for the curation, and now we have grown, so there are a bit more people in the team, more developers. There is a community manager, WiseApe, that you can follow on Twitter. She's always sharing a lot of interesting things. She does community spaces on Objkt. So there are Twitter spaces where everyone can ask questions. So it's very useful because I know a lot of people have questions. So it's nice. And then Kika Nicolela joined us recently, and she's a curator. So she works with me on the curation.
Awesome. All right, that's interesting to know. I see Wise is very active on Discord, so we all know who is she talking about. What, as a curator, what advice do you have for artists? You monitor so many artwork, you see so many of them. What would you suggest to the artist?
Well, first to link the Twitter profile to the Objkt profile, because it's I see a lot of artists who have the wrong Twitter link to the profile who don't have a Twitter at all. And it's complicated for collectors, because when a collector sees a piece that they like, they will look for information on the artist. And if they don't find any social media, they will think maybe that's a bit suspicious, maybe it's a scammer. So I would advise to do that, and I know it's complicated at the moment to do that. It's a long process, but it will be changed. But I will advise them as a first step, very first step, before even selling NFTs, to have all the information. And then for the art, I don't have any advice really, because there are trends, but these trends come and go. So one day it's generative art, the other day it's AI, then another day it's the PFP project. And I wouldn't advise to adapt the art depending on what the trend is, because it's better, I think, for the artists to follow what they want to do, and then maybe one day it will be the kind of art that the collectors are looking for, because it always changes. And on Tezos and in the NFT space, an important thing is to be active in the community in order to be seen, because on Objkt, there are more than 3 million pieces, for instance. So you can imagine that a collector who wants to buy NFTs but doesn't want to spend too much time looking for it might not necessarily see the piece of a new artist who just arrives and who is not very active. But an artist who is active in the community is going to be supported by the other artists, is going to be supported by the collectors, and in the end will gain exposure. And I think the bear market is a good time to build a community, because things are slow. It's true, sales are slow too, but it's a great time to keep in touch with your collectors and asking sorry, I struggle a bit with in my English. Asking for advice to other artists who, in the bull market, some artists were completely over-solicited. People were sending them requests all the time. Now they have a bit more time, so sometimes, it's good to use this time to speak to the artists in your community, to participate to events. So, And there are always events on Tezos. So I was saying how big of a art community it is. When you look at the art events that there are on Tezos, you see that it's always, all the time. I think currently there are 3 events. And it's nice to see. And it's also a great way for artists to get their art seen.
Wow. So yeah, there's definitely less noise. People can reach collector more easily and quickly. I have 2 follow-up questions. First of all, where can the viewers find these events? Where do they get notified about the ongoing Tezos events?
So we have a channel on the Objkt Discord, which is called Events, where we announce the major events. But sometimes we may not be aware of an event. That can happen. But if at the last minute I see an event is going on, I will retweet on my Twitter. The community manager also does. And so you will be informed. If you are active in the community, you will see in your Twitter feed or on the Objkt Discord these kinds of events. Other than that, I wanted to do a calendar of events which would be reference all events going on, but to be honest, I lack time. So it was complicated to do that because there were also, I wanted to document all the Twitter spaces which happen in the community. And there are so many. I couldn't. There are so many, and actually it's more than several per day. It's if you wake up at night, you can listen to a Twitter space. And in the middle of the day, you can also listen to a Twitter space. There are always things, yeah. So mostly go to the Objkt Discord and follow our community manager on Twitter, because she usually retweets these kind of things too. So,
by community manager, you mean YZip?
Yes. She's usually retweeting these events, and I also do when I.
So you can, all the viewers can find details in Tezos Discord, Objkt Discord, and follow our guest Cabline and the community manager. Second word about the spaces. We have Rocklaz spaces. This is the 69th week of having these spaces every single week without a miss. It happens at 3 p.m. Indian time, so you can join in. We are even live streaming it. It's not just audio. It'll be like a podcast which you're seeing right now. At the same time, it will be ongoing in Twitter. So for something like that, you can join in. About Tezos and about the Objkt, next question is about community. So we all refer to community so often. What exactly do you mean by community?
It's complicated. It's I won't give a philosophical answer. It's just artists helping each other, while supporting each other by buying each other pieces, but also giving advices. Collectors forming a community in the way that they get together, they buy what they like, but they also want to show what they bought. They want to share their passion with other collectors. They want to thank the artists for creating art that they love. And it's all this involvement, which is the core of the community on Tezos. And I didn't find that elsewhere. And even before that, when I was collecting art and not in the NFT space, before the NFT space, I had the difficulties communicating with art collectors, because I was a small art collector. I didn't have a lot of money, and I felt excluded sometimes. Whereas on Tezos, it's collectors happy to share what they bought, no matter the price. They're just happy to share the art that they love. And the artists are very accessible. They comment usually, when you say, I bought this from this artist I respect, they usually comment, and you can even send them DMs. So all that forms the community, and I would say it's like a little family. But it's a bit cliche to say that, but that's how I felt. And of course,
Wow.
It was the case at the very beginning of Achivement, where when there were less artists, so it was a very small number of people, and then you felt the concept of a very warm space. But even now, with so many artists coming, even now there is still something left of this, and that's what I like about this space.
From a small family, it has become a community, and even expanding more, probably a nation someday. Cabline, one request: you might have to see which notifications are on your laptop or on your phone. I could hear them in the recording. Probably one of them sounded like WhatsApp, and other one was probably like Telegram. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, I closed them both.
Okay, awesome. About community again, a very cliche thing about community is Discord. Whenever people talk about community, they many a times very simplistically refer to Discord. You got to be active on Discord. That is the community. What do you think about that?
I'm not a fan of Discord. I didn't use Discord before. I use it now because it's important, but I'm not a fan of Discord. It's true that it is important. Now it's my email, sorry. Okay, so it's true that Discord is important. Twitter is also important. And it's not the best because, while it's not decentralized, you have problems with the algorithm showing things that you don't necessarily want to see, highlighting the drama more than the art. All these problems, but that's the tools which are used by most people. So that's why it is there. But for those who don't like Discord, there are also the events in real life, which happen more and more. I don't know in India because I don't know, but I saw the last time there was an event with Tezos in India, but I don't really know about the events there. But
we do have a lot of events here, yes. That's
cool. In my home country, in France, there are starting to be a lot of events too. Since 2021, it has increased a lot. So you have this physical aspect in addition to the online aspect.
I like how you said Twitter highlights more of drama than the art. So that has to be. Yeah, it's true. Glad Elon Musk is making the algorithm public. It is open. You can check it out, what is promoted and what is not. But it's true, and even we say Discord and most of the NFT communities and platform communities are there on Discord, but Discord is also not decentralized. Some decentralized platforms are there, like Mastodon, which I just tried, which is actually like an email address. You can go and plug in anywhere, and there are many people hosting the servers like they do for the chains. So you can check it out, but it's not that active. I don't see that much in transactions or interactions there. So
yes, I am on Mastodon, but so I tried it and I agree, it's not very active. I joined 1 month ago, maybe 2 months ago, and it's active for the generative artists. But I think it's also because the generative artists, they are also a bit developers, they are used to the technical side of things, and Mastodon doesn't scare them. But I think it's complicated to use. Maybe that's why there are not so many users, but I haven't found, I haven't found that it's useful to communicate with a large number of people. With a small number of people, yeah, it's fine. I felt, it's the small community of generative artists. It's nice. You can see the art. But with a large number of people, no, it's not an alternative. Unfortunately.
It is not that important. I think the decentralized aspect of communication is still not that important, because people go where there are already people there, which is easily accessible to more people. And if there's more crowd, more people onboarding Mastodon, they'll go to Mastodon. Like Twitter, before NFTs, hardly anybody I know used to use Twitter, except for the politicians and business people and somebody like that. But the whole NFT and crypto community has come to Twitter, and it has become the place. So it's an evolution. It will take us places. We were talking about artists before, and you gave some amazing insights. What do you think is the key to success on Objkt? What would you suggest for editions, pricing, and marketing?
I'm going to give a bad answer. I don't know. Because it really depends. There are some artists who already sold pieces before on other blockchains, and so it's not an entirely new market to them. There are artists who have different goals. So, for example, there are artists who want to build a community, a big community. So for them, collection editions make sense, because when you make editions, you have a lot of collectors who speak about your art, who talk with you, and it's a good way to build your community of collectors. Then there are some artists who want to mint very exclusive pieces that they spend a lot of time working on, and then, regarding the price, it's quite hard to say, because some need to sell quickly because they have real life expenses. Some don't have these constraints, and so can wait a bit longer. And I personally don't think that it's horrible if an artist doesn't sell immediately. Well, I mean, if the artist needs the money quickly, yes, then it's not good for the artist. But otherwise, I think the concept of selling out as soon as you're dropping a piece is a bit specific to the space. In the traditional art world, you don't have an artist who sells all their paintings in 5 minutes, and if they don't sell within 5 minutes, people think, oh, that's the value of the pieces is worth nothing. No, of course. And actually, in the traditional art world, most of the time, it's even after the death of the artist that the pieces increase in value. I mean, in financial value, because I don't think the the price at which they sell means is relative to the intrinsic value. But so I think it's fine if a piece stays and takes longer to be sold, as long as it's the right price for the artist. It's and I think the artists know better what is at what price they should sell. And honestly, there is really no recipe for success or not, other than be active in the community. Because if you want success to come, yes, if you're active in the community, it helps. It is not mandatory, because there are some artists who are, how do you say, lonely wolves? I don't know how you say in English. You know,
Yeah, that's right. Lonely wolves.
Solitary and not really wanting necessarily to interact with the community, and it's perfectly fine, and sometimes it works. But of course, when you're active with and interact with the community, it puts more chances. You have more chances for your art to be seen, and so that is maybe the recipe for success. I am aware that it is very complicated for artists, because in addition to the art, which is complicated to make, it means hours to spend interacting with people, using new tools which they didn't use before, like Twitter. I also didn't have an account before. I created mine in 2021. A lot of artists have Instagram account and they didn't have a Twitter account. So all of this is complicated and it takes time, and it's but I think that when you see some successful artists, it's usually the artist who did that.
About the solitary artists who are not really marketing much, they just put up the artworks. Have you seen any success stories of that, or is it just the people who are constantly promoting their works in the community on Twitter or Discord who are having more success?
Oh, there are. Well, first, there are some, I said that it's important to link your Twitter profile to your Objkt profile, but there are some accounts which are completely anonymous and which sell. There are secret accounts of famous artists. There are some experimental accounts, and it works. So there was the account of Casey Rias. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but which was quite hidden. And then, the pieces sold well. I can say also that the account of Manoloid, who is a generative artist, I don't think he did a lot of marketing. And, well, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but the pieces sold because the collectors looked at the piece, looked at the pieces and thought, wow, it is so amazing, we want to buy it. And it was, when I discovered the account, I couldn't even find the name of the artist, and I was notified of the existence of an account thanks to another collector, and I thought, yes, these pieces are amazing. And so these two examples, for example, show that it can work, but it's not. And sometimes it is also, there is a bit of mystery, which is nice. There was a Ganboard who created the latent, I cannot pronounce the word, sorry, latent space account, AI experimentation, amazing AI experimentation. And when he minted the piece, I had no idea that it was him. There was no information. I think there is now, but at the time, there was no information. And I thought, oh, I really like that piece. So I added, it was a Nick at Nook, and I bought. And then I was told, oh, it's Ganbod. And it's an artist I already liked. And I noticed, oh, well, it means I really like his pieces because I bought from him and I didn't even know it was him. And, and it worked because the pieces were just cool. The thing is, it's still risky to do, risky, yeah, I cannot pronounce the word, to do that.
It's okay, risky.
Yes, because I pronounce it like a W, and it's not like the doing. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, because if you do that, there is also a high chance that the collector will think maybe it's a copy minter, maybe it's someone trying to scam us. We don't have information. We don't touch. We don't want to buy, or we don't want to buy for a price which is too high. But there are examples, and actually, it's what is funny about Tezos. To have all these unknown accounts. Robness also had, several accounts. Secret.
So here you have, at the end of the day, it is the art, which is what I'm getting from this conversation. Whether you market it or not do it that much, if you are authentic to your art, it will eventually sell. And I like what you said in the beginning, how don't follow the trends. There'll be AI generated sometimes, there'll be some other artwork, but if you stick to, or if you not even stick, but if you keep doing what is true to you or what comes from within, that will lead to a higher chances of success. So thank you for that. Up next, I have a question. So on our show, we give a chance and we give you a shout out. So if you follow me and Rocklaz Radio, before the recording starts, I'll put out who's the guest. And if you ask a good question, we will give you a shout out like I'm going to do now. So this is from an artist, Terra Bitcoin. He has asked about a question which is very, very suitable for you as you're the curator. Terra Bitcoin asks, how do Objkt.com select what to highlight on homepage? Like discovery, like discover now, daily curation, open editions, auctions. What is it? How do they select what to highlight?
So there are different things because the explore page is, you can see the latest means it's the latest pieces being minted. So there is no curation there, but the curation is done for the top of the front page. You will see every day 6 pieces. And for this, it's every day a different theme, different thematic. So the objective is to highlight the diversity of art on Tezos. So we don't want to always highlight paintings or always highlight AI. We want it to be diverse. So it's on a different topic every day. And in fact, there are some Objkt users who suggested some of these topics and invited. If you are listening to this, you can go to Discord and suggest a topic if you want. There is a dedicated channel on Discord for this. So in addition to the themes that we chose, we also look at what people suggest. And there was a curation I did recently, which was about video games, and it was, it had a retro vibe. It was very funny to do, and it was suggested by an Objkt user. There is an Objkt user who suggested to highlight cars. And I know nothing about cars, but it is an interesting challenge. So it is, something that that I keep in mind. So there are a lot of very different things that they suggest. So it can be on a topic, or it can be an art style. It can also be a color. but the users say that the feedback that we got was that people really liked when it was about a specific topic, more than a specific aesthetic or just a color. So we focus on that, because also when you do a specific the topic, you can show different kinds of art styles, so that's always good. And it changes every day. At the top of the front page, there is a different artist every day, and we try not to feature the same artist several times at the very top. So, because there are so many artists, we want to leave room to others. So that's something we keep track of. And other than that, how do we select pieces which are in the theme? We are looking for pieces which are original and that we find good as well, of course, and which would fit the theme. And it's not necessarily pieces that I would have collected, because there are some pieces which won't fit my personal taste, but which are good, and that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be highlighted. So it is a bit different from what I would have collected sometimes, because I like cute things. I like romantic things, and it's not always the case in my curations for Objkt. So we try to differentiate personal taste and then the curation. And
when you're deciding, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
When you are the final decision maker for the curation, right? So how do you decide this artwork is to be showcased next? Because it, as you mentioned, it can be outside the categories or genres that you might not prefer. So how do you take a decision on that? Is there a voting in Discord, or how does it happen? Your mic is mute.
Okay, sorry. So there is no vote on the Discord, but now that we are two curators, I am saying that there is this artist that I would like to feature, and then discussing with the other curator about this. Yes, it's not in the format of a vote, but we discuss. And then for the artists that we want to feature, it's about are the pieces that the artist produce different from what you would usually see? Is it original? Is there something? Well, it's hard to describe with English, but
you can say it in French. We can use the translator and subtitles in YouTube to understand. Go ahead, speak in French.
No, it's fine. But does this piece have something which distinguishes the piece from other pieces around the same thematic, which would have been minted? Also, if it's a particular art style, I also sometimes discuss with artists who are the specialists in that area, and then it's about the curation and the theme.
Do you do a background check if this is original? I mean, if this is a spam account or it's actually
yes, it's actually taking a lot of time. It's taking a lot of time to do, and I need to do that with all artists, and it's very time consuming. And
how do you do that? Because many of them don't have their social accounts linked with it. How do you verify if it is authentic artist or not?
I have many steps, but I don't want to describe them because the scammers are trying to know what our steps are in order to try to counterattack and to use this information to make better scams. So I won't say all the steps because they have tried to learn more about this, but I can say because I can say because that they know it that they doesn't necessarily need to be a Twitter account to find information about an artist. But of course it's a long process, and it's not only doing a reverse search to look for the image on internet. It goes much deeper than that. And I don't want to say all the steps for the scammers, but they have made our life more complicated. They are becoming much more clever, and they have created fake Twitter accounts. There are some scammers who have participated in Twitter spaces, even. So that takes time, and I expect that it will take even more time in the future as they become more and more sophisticated. But it's a necessary step, and maybe it's important to do that.
It's like the police and
sometimes and when I see that it's a legitimate account and there is no Twitter linked, then I contact, after having done the research, I contact the artist and say, hey, your art is going to be featured, but you collectors, we need to know because it looks like a scam account. So I contact the artist to explain to them. But it's long. Yeah, it's long.
It's a long work.
I think it's the longest part, actually. But it's great because when I do the research and I also get to see other pieces by the artist, I get to learn more about the artist. So that is in a way good.
What is the quickest way for somebody to have a chance to get featured? Should they start shilling to you, tag you in all their posts, or start throwing in Discord? What should they do?
Well, so the thing that they should not do is to send me a DM to say, hey, can I be featured? Because first, the thing is, when they do that, there was a time when it was the bull market, when I received more than 300 messages per day. And that was too much for me. And it meant that people shilling, they were usually the same people, shilling every day, the same thing. And there were artists who had legitimate questions. At the time I helped with the support as well, and I couldn't see the questions. Because I received too many DMs, I couldn't differentiate between shilling and legitimate questions, and it was not nice for everyone. Now, because it's a bear market, it's better. I have less DMs, but still it is not transparent to do that. Because if an artist sends me a DM to say, can I get featured, I will feel pressured to feature them. And when I feel, and it's actually counterproductive, because when I feel pressured, my instinct is not to feature. Is to think, oh no, I don't want to feature, maybe I was influenced by the artist asking me. So don't do that, because the only result it will have is your art not being featured. And it's also not worth, if artists start to insult me because I didn't feature, it doesn't work. And yeah, so it's I wouldn't recommend that. It's not very productive, but it's possible to share the art in the Discord, and there are 14 in total channels to share your art, depending on what kind of art it is, and that is transparent. Everyone can see it. And you only need to post a link, because I didn't want the artist to have to send a whole paragraph to say something, because there are some artists who don't speak English, so they can just post the link to the piece and that's all. But that is only to make sure that, I saw the piece, because I consider that even if a piece is not posted anywhere, as long as it's minted, it can be featured. And especially since I know that there are some artists who don't use social media, who don't use Discord, I don't see why they should be excluded. And so, by default, the moment that you mint a piece on Objkt, it is a candidate for, it is possible to get featured, even if you never interacted with me. And I saw that with some Chinese artists and Taiwanese artists who don't use maybe Twitter so often, or they use other social media. So for me, it's they shouldn't be excluded from the curation. They should have the right as much as everyone. And how do I find the pieces? I look at the pieces. Every day I look at the pieces minted on Objkt. And you can guess that it takes a lot of time. It does. And but I look at the pieces. There was a time when I wasn't how do you say? Yeah, there was a time when I was in hospital, so I couldn't look, but now I'm back. So I can look at the pieces, and there is the Discord if you're really afraid that I didn't see your piece. But also the fact that an artist hasn't been featured yet doesn't mean that I think that the art is bad. Because there are some artists who are among my favorite artists, and they haven't been featured yet. Because there are so many artists, so many good artists, and there is one curation per day with 6 pieces. So of course not everyone can be featured, and that doesn't mean that it won't be featured in the future. So it's always complicated. And
Thank you for giving us a brief and detailed insights on the process of how the curation happens. And it is very positive that there's a chance for everybody, even if you have just minted, it is being seen. Don't you get tired looking at so many artworks through all the day, every day?
There was this thing called Stendhal syndrome. Stendhal is maybe you pronounce Stendhal in English, but
can you spell it?
He Sthendal, and he's a French writer, and he wanted his name to be pronounced Stendhal because it sounds like scandal in French. But he's a French writer, and there is this thing which is called Stendhal syndrome, which he talked about, and he said he was seeing so many artworks at the same time that he was so impressed by so much beauty that he felt almost weak, almost like fainting, in front of that much beauty. And that's why we call that the Stendhal syndrome. It's like a disease, in front of so much beauty. You are overwhelmed. Sometimes when you go to the Louvre, you see all these artworks. You cannot appreciate them because there are so many at the same place. Of course, some people say that it didn't really exist. It was maybe another condition that he had, and it just looks cool to say that. But I find it quite nice, this thing to, that there is so much beauty. It's complicated to appreciate every single one individually. And at times I need to take a step back, So what I do is that I look at the pieces, I bookmark them, and I come back later, at a later point of the day, to look at the piece separately. So there are several times when I see the piece, not because I know that when I see 100 pieces at the same time, I can see, oh, this piece looks interesting, but I need to come back later because I'm seeing so many pieces at the same time that I won't appreciate it. So I'm spending my time, coming back, taking a step back. So yeah, and sometimes I go for a walk, and to have, not to stay in front of my computer and saying this. Then I come back and I look at the
Cabline,
But
in perfumes, when you're using those scents and fragrance and perfumes, when you go to the shop and you have to smell so many perfumes, to neutralize that smell, they make you smell a cup of coffee beans and seeds. That neutralizes your senses, and then you can go back to smelling those perfumes again. So do you have something like that for art? Like seeing so many artworks, you want to neutralize your mind that you go back and do some trick and come back. Is there something like that you have got?
For me, it's to go for a walk. And actually, I'm very lucky because I'm in Zurich, which is an amazing city in Switzerland. We have an amazing architecture. We have the water. It's beautiful. So I go for a walk. Then I go back. It's like the coffee beans. And sometimes I also ask for external advice. And it's good that we are two curators now. Because then we can discuss about the pieces. And I think it's great. Because there are some things that I may have missed because of... Also, when you look at the same piece, or also when you look at the same text too much, there are some details that you may miss because you are too used to seeing it that you miss some little points. So it's always good to have people to talk with about the pieces. And but maybe I look a bit strange when I walk in the city, trying to not think about all the artworks, and I have my mind which is a bit empty, but it works.
Do you get artworks in your dreams, like a nightmare of artworks?
Oh, actually, I don't, but it would have been cool. Well, it depends which artwork, but I wish I did, but no. Never.
It's enough for the daytime, not at night, please. All right. One question I had related to the artist. Does it matter to you that the artist has different styles or one particular style in their collection?
I know that there are some people who say that it's bad. For me, it's not a problem. The only thing is that sometimes if I see pieces which are not coherent at all, I might look a bit deeper into the artist because sometimes it's a collection of pieces by different artists. And the people didn't really know. It happened to me that I talked to someone who created a collection, and it was the work of different artists, and they uploaded for them, but they didn't. That wasn't very clear, and so when that is the case, it's good that I contact the artist to understand. But other than that, I know that it can be a problem for some collectors when they don't think that it's coherent, the different works that they see on the same page, that it doesn't look nice. Well, for me, I don't see any issue with that. It's just that it looks nicer when it's presented in different collections. And,
how do you define cohesive? How do you know if it is coherent or not?
Well, honestly, if you have an artist who does very cute GIFs and then starts painting very dark, romantic paintings, then it's different. But I don't have a problem with that. I think even it's a lot of artists make some art which is very personal, and people go through different phases in their lives. So you can have for me, it can make sense, and actually I would want to talk with the artist to know a bit more about the new kind of art they're experimenting with. I saw a lot of artists experimenting with AI, and it's great. It can start great conversations. So that is something that is more interesting to me than a problem. And other than the fact that if it's different artists, then it needs to be indicated. But I think it's great. I like to see people experimenting with new things, and no problem with that.
Okay, awesome. That is very subjective, right? But good to know from a curator of biggest Tezos marketplace. Talking about Tezos and Tezos permanent collection, what are your views on that? Or for the people who don't know, what is Tezos permanent collection?
I'm not sure we'll be able to present it well, but it's the Tezos Foundation who gave funds to a curator to collect pieces. So from what I understood, it was to highlight pieces mostly from artists from the African community. That's what I understood. So feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And so there are a lot of pieces now in that permanent collection. And what can I say? I think it's great to see that there is this acknowledgement that art is important on Tezos. So I think it's great.
This is very unique. This is not done on Ethereum also, like a permanent Ethereum collection. This is very unique, and this is where the community and dedication to art aspect comes in. We'll soon have Misan Hariman on this show, so stay tuned for that.
Nice.
We also, as you're very close to Austria, so it's such a pleasure to tell you that we had Belvedere Museum on our show a couple of weeks ago. Have you been there?
No, I want to, but I want to travel to so many countries to see so many museums, and I like time, and elf, but I will one day.
Absolutely. I hope you get to be a curator for one of those museums, maybe through Tezos. Like, imagine having a Tezos exhibition in one of those exhibitions, like Belvedere or Louvre.
But you know that there was a Tezos exhibition in a museum where you have paintings of Van Gogh, etc. There was an exhibition in the Musée Granet, who is an important museum in the south of France. And it was actually the first exhibition in a museum in France, with the museum buying NFTs, having them in its collection. And it was I forgot the date, but well, it was a major thing, and actually people didn't really talk about it. Maybe because it's not a museum in Paris, and there is still, this I don't know how you say in English, but well, there was not a lot of publicity around it, but it was a major step to have this exhibition in a museum, and not only the exhibition, to have the NFTs in the collection. And it was interesting.
What was the name of that museum and that exhibition, so we can search it up?
It's Musée Granet.
Can you spell it?
Granet. But I can send you the link on Twitter and the link to the thread. And it was very interesting. Well,
I asked you for the pronunciation because it's very different how French write the spellings and pronounce it. It is very different from German or English.
I know, and it doesn't make sense usually. But
exactly.
Yeah. I will send you the information, but
sure.
I was a bit disappointed that this information didn't circulate in the NFT space. For me, it was a major achievement, a major thing. There was a representative from the French Ministry of Culture.
Wow.
Who went there for the opening of the exhibition. We had questions by people from the traditional art world who wanted to know more about NFTs. And it was really interesting to have that. So yes, it would be great if people can have a look at what the museum did, and I will send you the link.
Absolutely, I'll try it in, or if you've got the name, just Google it. I want to give you 2 compliments. Firstly, you say I don't know how to pronounce it, or I don't know how to say it in English, but then you say it without any problem in the next sentence. That's very cool. Second is the earrings and the dress you're wearing. It's very pretty. It has a very Indian touch to it. So did you plan it that way, or?
Thank you. No, actually, but I guess I like. It's very cliche, but I like Bollywood movies.
Oh wow!
Since I watched the Indian Family, I think it's called Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham in Indian. So I watched that movie a long time ago, and ever since I loved watching Bollywood movies. But yeah, no, that's actually a European dress, but I suppose it has some. It was inspired maybe by some Indian dressings.
Very interesting. Very nice to get that story as well. Trivia. All right. Next question is from the collector's perspective, and we have a well-known collector who has asked a question to ask you. So before that, why do you think collectors should buy from Objkt and from Tezos? They have so much funds, and they don't mind spending on gas fees. They can get works from any platform and anywhere. Why do you think they should collect from Objkt and Tezos?
Because why not? I mean, there's the same question in the traditional art world. Imagine you have a painting from Van Gogh, and is the collector going to say, "Oh, I'm not going to buy from this place because I want it to be sold in Paris"? It doesn't make sense. If you like the art, then you buy it. And there is so much good art on Objkt and some innovative art and diverse that I don't understand why not, and why cutting yourself from the possibility to discover so many artists, especially the artists from some communities like the Indonesian community, the Latin American community, who are particularly present on Tezos. If you don't, if you only buy on Ethereum, then maybe you will never discover this artist. And also the community, because when you buy a piece, you enter a community of collectors. For me, it was amazing. So there was this first purchases I did on LinkedIn. It was not very high percentage. I mean that I didn't spend a lot of money, but already collectors came to talk to me and told me, you like this kind of pieces, maybe you will like this artist. And I was amazed by the artist that they suggested. I was very happy. We could discuss about art. And that is amazing, to enter a community of like-minded people. And you have that on Tezos very, very strongly. So, yeah, I really don't understand why not. The only reason which made sense to me was that some people said, yes, but it's complicated. We have to spend a few minutes to buy Tezos. Okay, it takes time, but you can also pay with credit card and with Ethereum now. So that is not a problem anymore. The only thing is that you need to create a wallet. Yes, you need to create a wallet. Okay, that is a step, but that is something that you need to do one time. So, yeah, that's
one thing that one of the things that collectors are concerned about is scams. So I believe Objkt is better than OpenSea when it comes to preventing scams, but can you say that confidently, or what efforts does Objkt take to reduce the scammers?
Honestly, we are actively fighting against them. So when I say that they have become more sophisticated, it's because we are active trying to fight them. So they need to become more sophisticated to continue. And we are working with other platforms, with Theia, to coordinate on the fight against copy minters. And they are also, how do you say? They also detect some copy minters automatically. But it's a fight which is done every day. I'm not involved in this anymore, but I do look for it when I feature a piece. But the main part of it is done by our community manager. But it's really we are very involved in this.
Yes.
Because it
is very nice to know that you're actively fighting. It's very nice to know that you're actively fighting and coordinating with other platforms.
And it's a matter of credibility, because if there are too many scammers, it gives NFTs a bad reputation, and they already have a bad reputation. But it's important not to encourage scammers, and especially when you have artists who are having a very hard time in this bear market. So yeah, but the
It'll be a relief
scammers,
for you. It'll be a relief for you because scammers come back during the bulls. They are not there
that's what I
during the
wanted
bear.
to say. They are a bit more shy now because they think, oh, it's the bear market. Maybe it's not worth it. We don't want to be there. So I think they will come back in the bull market, but we have lots
You're
of
prepared
things
for
in
it.
place. We prepare to fight.
Yes.
And that's it's important. It's really important.
The next question I wanted to ask you is from the collector. I'm sharing on screen to give him a shout out because that's what we do. The top selected questions will be given a shout out. Nick Kalyani, also known as Techbubble, who is a big collector and art catalyst, is doing many amazing things. He asked, and this is what I'm going to quote. I'm going to quote him. Why does Objkt hate collectors? I can't think of any other reason why. They make it super difficult to tell if you're buying from primary or secondary. They have no ability to change items displayed per page. There's no show count anywhere. And he says, I am approaching 1,000 pieces. He has collected over 1,000 pieces on Tezos, but he is wanting to look at alternatives for Tezos because of the issues with the AI. How would you comment on that?
Well, so there are several things. For the number of pieces, I think it's shown. For the what was the first thing?
First thing was, let me repeat. Why do they make it super difficult to understand if it is buying from the primary or secondary market?
And I think that is a good point, that it would be interesting to differentiate between the primary and the secondary. But it is possible to look at that on the NFT backer tools, which are open, which I would recommend to use, because some parts are token gated, but a lot of tools are free and open to everyone. You can see what is on sale on the primary and secondary. You can see statistics easily, and a lot of things are already included in that tool. So for big collectors, I would recommend to use it. But
why don't you have it within the platform,
Yeah,
like how Foundation or Super
that
Airtel?
was the second part. Yeah, I agree that also for me, I like to see when it is on the primary and the secondary. But it is the feature implemented depending on the demand. So there is a website which is called the roadmap website, where you can request a feature and people can vote for it. So if people think it's an important thing, they can vote for it on the website. I would happily implement that feature if I could, but I have no, I'm not a developer. But there are so many features which are requested that needs to be, they need to be priorities, and I will
You're the
highly
first.
recommend to vote.
You're the first employee. The developers will listen to you. Do recommend about this.
Yeah, but it's so important to know that people from the community want it. That's why the vote is important you know, because there are so many things that people ask. If you look at the number of requests, you will see. If you look at the number of requests on the website, but I agree, and I would vote myself for that feature because I agree that is an interesting feature to have. I don't know how it is, if it's complicated to implement technically. I have no idea. But
Hope the developers are listening. Hope the developers are listening to this conversation and they will definitely implement. Give a thumbs up and comment if you want that feature right below.
Yeah, please vote, and of course we know that there are the website could always be better. There are a lot of features which could make it better. So that's why come and vote, and then yeah.
What do you think? Would you give the same answer for the other two questions? One of which was not having the ability to change the item displayed per page.
You can change. You can change it.
You can?
It's the little icons it depends what is meant by this, but you can choose to see the artworks with all the information, and if you choose the view without all the information and just to focus on the art, it changes also the way it is displayed. And it's what I use for my curation to see it in a bigger way. So you can see those small icons at the top. But if you mean something else by this, then add the request on the website, because I'm not sure.
All right.
I'm not sure what it implies here, but
Absolutely. There's another question which he had, which I also didn't quite get. Show no counts anywhere. There are no counts anywhere. I don't know what he means by count, but did you understand?
I suppose it's about the statistics, but let me check.
Until she's checking, guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Rocklaz Radio, and make yourself an account on Objkt.com and get some art, collect some artworks on Objkt. Cheers.
That is something I'm not sure I know the answer, because maybe I'm not using it well, because it has been a long time since I saw my collection. But if there is I think it refers to the number of pieces that you collected. If it is something that you would like to see, then again, go to the website and ask for it, because there are going to be new features implemented on Objkt. So things will change. And if you have a particular request, then it's interesting to have it. But I suppose it's the number of pieces. And it's true that when I go to my profile, I don't see it, but maybe it's that. So I agree that's something nice to have.
Nick is a very well-known developer himself. He has had many startups, so your developers or your team could reach out to him for suggestion and advice, and he's always happy to give.
Well, yeah, okay, that's great to know. And thanks to him for collecting on Objkt and for supporting Objkt. So that's thank you.
One more question on behalf of another collector, Kato. He is doing amazing competition, bringing in a lot of liquidity and funds into the NFT space. And the next competition is on Objkt with $9,000 worth of prizes being given. What can we do to promote that exhibition on Objkt or through Objkt?
I'm not talking numbers or financial things, because I'm focused on the curation. So if there are pieces which are minted, which are interesting to be part of a collection, then
not like that. Not like that. They have their own rules. It's a competition. They have their own rules, and they'll be giving away prizes. What I want to ask is, as you have the front page and where you're showcasing artworks, can we showcase a competition like that? So even the other Objkt artists can participate in that competition. Just that much. We want to give a highlight or a shout out for the competition.
So it's complicated because there are competitions every week, if not every day. So why should I feature a competition rather than another? Should it be based on the price? It will be too complicated, which is why for the curation it's focused on topics to avoid these issues, because, well, it's not an issue, it's a nice problem to have, that there are so many events and competition and things like that on Tezos. It's nice. But the result is that it's complicated to highlight one without highlighting the other, you know. So it's
no worries. We can have that discussion on the back channel. Maybe both of you or person in charge can have their discussion at their end. Other question was from one of the artists: does Objkt also buy NFTs like from Objkt? Does the platform also buy NFTs?
The platform itself doesn't buy NFTs. Now, if the question is if there will be a collection to help artists and to, you know, that kind of thing, it's something which may happen in the future.
All right, awesome.
Yes, at the moment, no.
Okay. Moving on to the next chapter, to the next segment of the show, it's going to be about you. I read that your passion for art has come from your grandfather. Your grandfather was very well-known expert in the 18th century artwork. So can you tell us a bit more about him, and if you can recall one of the conversations that you had with him, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so he was an expert in the 18th century porcelain. So he had a lot of plates. How do you say that? In porcelain in his home. He also had a lot of other kinds of art. He had tapestries. He had furniture from the 18th century, and then paintings, mostly from the 18th century. And the funny thing is, so he used to be an economics professor before getting into art. So he changed his job, and so being an art expert was his last job, because he was someone who was really passionate about art. And so our conversations, it was, him telling me about porcelain mostly, but also the different kinds of art prior to the 20th century. And him and my grandmother didn't really like the 19th century art, because they said, people copied a lot of other art styles of art which was made before. So because it's copies, it's less good than the original. The 18th century is the best century for art. And I didn't agree with them, because I think that you had a lot of interest in art in the 19th century. So there are some artistic points on which we didn't necessarily agree. But the conversation I remember the most was, it was a short time before he died. He said to me, I think that I was a law student at the time. So I was studying law, not art. And he said, I think you are going to work in art one day. And, here I am. So it's funny that he said that to me, because he noticed my passion for art. So, and because I was a bit like him, he did economics before art, and I did law first, and I was into financial law, and she thought, yeah, it's going to be the same thing as me. She's going to come back to art at one point in time. So, because also I did an internship in an auction house when I was a law student. And because I was interested in art, so interested in working maybe in an auction house, which I discovered it's quite hard to get a job in an auction house. I was already, maybe interested in working, but I acknowledged that it was not possible to get a job. It was very competitive, the art market in France. But yeah, that was the conversation I had with him. And so I think he would have been happy to see where I am today.
What would he think about digital art?
Well, I think that he would be surprised, but I would show him at first art by artists who reinterpret traditional art in an interesting way. And usually that works well with people who like traditional art. So for instance, for my parents, they were a bit, scared about digital art first. Then I showed them pieces by Laurence Fuller and by Ruben Fro. So Laurence Fuller, he brings poetry and he brings life to classical paintings, which is something that is innovative, and it spoke to them, even if they are into classical art. And Ruben Fro, all his Point Cloud pieces, especially the Starry Night, it's something that, even people who are more into classical art like. So that is the first kind of thing I would have shown him. And then more completely, generative art, it's something which has existed, of course, for a long time, but it's not something that my grandfather was an expert in. But I think he would have liked, after getting to know a bit more about it. So,
Very interesting. I have pulled some, as you said, your grandparents didn't like 19th century art. So I actually pulled up 18th century art to compare with 19th century art, and we would love to have your views on that. Give me a moment. So this is the 18th century art. I really like this piece. I think this is the most famous piece of that century. So many details and the sandals flying. Which are your favorite artworks, or which were his favorite artworks from the 18th century? Your mic is off.
For him, it was porcelain, so I wouldn't exactly know which ones would have been his favorite.
Okay. But looking at these photos, we're getting an idea of what the 18th century art was. 18th century is 1900s and something. 1700s and so. And now we'll see the... Sorry?
You had different artistic movements, but you had the very
Yeah, please complete your thought. You had very...
I forgot what I wanted to say.
Okay, no problem. So this one is something very unique. Fruits. Man made of fruits having a fruit. Wow. I'm not going to pronounce the name because I don't want to screw it, but you can see it on the screen, the name of the artist. Okay, now checking out 19th century. We all know Starry Night, and these are the prominent works of the 19th century. This one is very famous piece, revolutionary.
Yes.
I think punk.
Yeah, they did. But also for the Rococo pieces that you showed before, there are some artists who did some reinterpretation for Archibald. Oh, I cannot pronounce his name. Archibald. Oh, I cannot. Yeah, the man with the foots. You also have a lot of reinterpretations.
This one is an interpretation on ArtStation. Check this.
And there is a Cyber Union who did one too of these pieces, of this particular piece. And then yes, for the 19th century art and the piece that you show, it's you have some impressionism, which is amazing, I think. And you also had all these movements which were inspired by Japan, so it's something that I like. And you have some museums which were built at that time, which I like to visit in Paris.
I remember seeing a few of these pieces on my trip to London in the National Museum. I really wish to travel to Paris and see the museums there. How much time do you think somebody should take to visit Louvre?
I think it's not possible to visit everything. It's really not possible. It's too big. I haven't seen everything in the Louvre. I went many times, but every time I go, I just see one section. And I used to really like the ancient Egypt section. The part with the Joconda, not because there are too many tourists all the time. But yeah, it's you need to go there several times and decide what you want to see.
It's a complete experience of emerging there. Talking about Switzerland, what kind of exhibitions or artworks do you find there?
So in Switzerland, you have to pay to go to museums, which is something new for me compared to France. So I don't go to museums a lot for that particular reason. But I went to
pay them in Tezos. Onboard them to Tezos and Objkt.
But I went to the museum recently, and there was an exhibition about India, actually, about the Jains.
Oh wow!
So it was interesting. There was the responsible for the exhibition who came to talk to us. So it was nice. And
wonderful.
Yeah, it was nice, but honestly, I go to museums less than in France because of the fact that you have to pay a lot, and in France, it's very accessible.
You're doing such a great job of curation, and you have spent so many hours and months. Probably have spent more than 10,000 hours doing curation. So I won't be surprised to see you curating a modern museum and being known in the history as a very important curator for one particular museum.
Well, as a partnership with Objkt, I would love that. But to be honest, I was happy that not a curator joined us, because for me, I'm more on this... not on the side, but having views like a collector. So my grandfather was an art expert. Then I was an art collector, but I'm not in the mind of an artist. I mean, I take painting classes, but don't look at my paintings. They're horrible, but I take painting classes, but I don't consider myself as an artist. But I wanted an artist to be involved in the curation, because that's very important for me. and also someone who knows about AI specifically. So that's why I'm so happy that Kika Nicolella joined us, because she's someone who is an artist who worked with video art and also with AI art, and also she has been doing curation and art for a lot of years. So she has a lot of experience. So
very nice to see that you have a combination of collector as yourself and a person who is bringing the artist perspective. That's really cool to know. We're talking about Switzerland, so I want to highlight a fact that we are on a mission to talk to every single experts and individuals from every single country of the world. We have covered almost 23, 24 countries, and we also love to know some fun facts about that country. So what are some fun facts about Switzerland that you would like to share with us?
It's complicated because I said this as a French person. The streets are very clean. The air is very pure. Like, you come out of the train from Paris and you arrive in Zurich, and Zurich is a city. It's not in the middle of the countryside, it's a city. And you feel that the air is so pure. There is not a lot of pollution. And for me, it's massive. It's a massive difference. And people always laugh when I say the air is so pure. I'm happy with just that, the air. But it's true. It's amazingly pure. So I think that when you have health problems, it's nice to go to Switzerland. The chocolate is amazing. Really.
What are your favorite chocolates? What are your favorite chocolates and where to get them?
So I bought for Easter chocolate rabbit in Sprungli in Zurich, and it was so good. They have different kinds of chocolate. I actually bought not only one rabbit, but several, and I ate them all. But it's good. It's really good. So I recommend that. But I know that there are other chocolate places.
What about cheese?
Well, I like my French cheese, but I haven't tried so many Swiss cheese yet. I know that I think, yeah, there must be some good cheese, but at the moment I'm eating French cheese.
So you might have lived most of your life in France. So tell us some fun facts about France.
Oh, actually, I lived in several countries. I lived in the UK, where I studied and I worked in the UK. I lived in Singapore, and I lived in Luxembourg, where I was a lawyer. But for some fun facts about France, I don't know what to say because it's my own country. So, what is fun? That people are very specific about food. So, if you come to say, there are some countries where they eat croissant with chocolate inside.
Why not?
If you show that to a French person, then you will see the face going red and annoyed, because it's a crime to put chocolate inside a croissant and to call that a chocolate croissant, something like that. A croissant, it's different. You have a pain au chocolat, which is chocolate, and you have a croissant. You can have a butter croissant, but you don't have a chocolate croissant like what I see in some other countries. And so
it is just like saying to Italian person that I like to have my pizza with tomato ketchup on it.
Yes, it's like that. So it's maybe it's, you will have some killing stare if you talk bad about French food. Yeah, we are very specific about food, but it's because our food is good.
Name 2 of your favorite French dishes and Swiss dishes.
The Swiss dishes I haven't tried, so I cannot say. I want to try Swiss specialties, but I haven't tried. But the French, I like the snails. I know many people don't like the snails, but I like the snails with the sauce, the garlic sauce. It's good. And then the bœuf bourguignon. It's quite classic, but it's very good.
When that's so weird to hear people having snakes, and I also see people like French like frog legs that I haven't heard anywhere else.
Well, yeah, but I haven't. I don't know about that because I've never eaten frog legs. I don't know if we do.
About the snails, do you get them out of the shell or do you have it with the shell? Like how is it served? You eat the shell also?
No, we don't eat the shell, but we eat the snail inside the shell.
Oh no. So
yeah, but it's good. It's good.
Don't worry, guys. We'll figure out a vegetarian or vegan way of doing it. So
yeah. It's not very vegetarian. That's true. And
so I had heard about the snails. There was this TV series which was 101 Ways to Die. And these guys in America, they didn't know much about snails or something. And they started eating snails. And something happened to the brain, that virus or there was some disease that started eating their brain cells and they died. So
okay, but maybe I will be scared now the next time I eat snails then. But I'm not dead. And I ate snails in the past.
Okay. I'll probably have it from a good place who knows about it. Because even mushrooms can be poisonous, even cherries can be poisonous. So you need to know from whom to get. All right. This is to the signature round. You're an artist and you're an art curator and collector. I want to know from you, what does art mean to you?
For me, it is something which can provoke feelings in you or which can make you think. So that's I know there are many conceptions about art.
That's a very sweet and precise way of sharing it. Especially from a person who sees so many artworks throughout the day. Very concise, precise definition. Thank you. Can you tell of a joke that only French people would understand or only Swiss people would understand?
Let me think. Honestly, I'm bad with jokes.
Okay.
No.
Why I ask this is because, it's a well saying that if you want to know a country or a language very well, you need to understand its jokes. When you start finding its jokes funny, you know the culture, because jokes convey the ongoing sentiment or some traditions that only the natives understand. So we'll figure it out.
But I'm very bad with jokes.
No problem.
Don't know.
No problem. Next question. What do you think art does for the world?
Well, it's as for me, art is it's provoking feelings. It's it can have several, how do you say? First, it makes some people feel better understood. in the way that you look at an art piece and then your feelings that burden you, they leave your mind and they go into the art piece. So it's as if someone understands you perfectly, and it allows you to put some distance between what troubles you and you know, by using the art piece as a I don't know how
way
to
of
say in
reflect.
English.
Yeah, anytime you think you don't know how to say it in English, just say it in French. We'll translate it.
I suppose it's Greek, la catharsis, la purgation des passions, then the fact that all your feelings and emotions, you see them in front of you in the piece, and it allows you to accept them better and to deal with them better. You also have another use, which is, you know, arts can be used to deliver political messages or to highlight, to put an highlight on a specific situation, or to provoke, also to I forgot what I wanted to say, but maybe because I'm French, and art is very important for us. But you know, a word without art.
Because you're French.
No, I wanted to say no. I wanted to say a sentence, but I don't know how to formulate it. But what I want to mean is that art is particularly important in the education in France. So I think maybe that's why I consider that art is so important. Maybe I was influenced by that. But
so were you taught art in school? As you were growing up, were you taught art?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, we are.
I mean, not just drawing. We learn drawing in our schools, but there is no art history.
No, we had drawings, courses, but also when we study literature and philosophy, you know, we could also reference to artworks as a way to illustrate things. So we studied some artworks. We also went to the museums with our class. It depends on the school, I guess, but and so as the
that is very interesting and a very common practice in European countries, especially France and London. I've seen.
As the museums are free, it's you know, easily accessible for people. So that's why it's an important part. And yeah, I think a world without art would be very sad. So to my eyes, it would be.
So people feeling sad should see art.
Oh, definitely. But in fact, no matter what my feeling is, I like seeing art. So if I'm happy, I want to see art, joyful art, which make me want to celebrate. And if I'm sad, I look at art and it makes me feel understood. So there is art for every occasion.
Wow. I really like that you said. I want to highlight that art, when I'm sad, an artwork that makes me feel understood. Wow, that is such an awesome thing to hear.
But I also use art to speak to my therapist. So when I cannot explain things with words, I actually show NFTs. So I show PCs, which express my feelings better than what I could express with words to say what I feel.
That's another interesting thing. Like, guys, you can carry artworks to your therapist next time. That's a brilliant idea, and show them how you feel. Wow.
But that's a good way to show how you feel, because you know, sometimes the emotions can be very complex, and an artwork expresses much better. So, but don't worry,
Absolutely.
my therapist was also surprised.
What was the reaction?
Oh, I need to mute. Yeah. So the reaction was to say, "Oh, you really do love art."
All right. Okay, fair enough. Very interesting. That would be an interesting conversation to have. Definitely would try. Cabline, what do you think is your biggest achievement so far?
I'm not self-confident, so I don't usually say that I achieve things. I wouldn't know.
What would your best friend say that this is your biggest achievement?
I guess to have been able to change career. It is very complicated to go from a legal job to work in the art field. And even if my grandfather was an art expert, it was still complicated to do this big step. So I would say that's the biggest achievement. That was my dream. And I'm now living it.
So you're pursuing your dreams, no matter what, you're pursuing your dreams from law to art. That's very interesting. You're talking about your grandfather. I just wanted to ask you, do you have any videos of you drawing with him or doing something artsy with him?
I would like, but unfortunately it was not... we used to spend a lot of time together speaking, but I didn't have a nice camera at the time. There was sometimes my father would take pictures sneakily with his camera, but never videos or... So I don't think I would have, unfortunately. I just have a few pictures of us together, and yes, I wish we had more.
So you have the videos in your mind and you can cherish that and maybe make an NFT out of that, asking artists to work, recreate it. All right. Cabline, next question. Name 3 people, living or dead, that you would like to have lunch with.
Living now?
They can be alive right now or they can be dead from the past. Who are the 3 people that you would like to have lunch with?
Well, I think Lamartine, he's a French poet, and I like the romantics. So, yeah, I think I will. Yeah.
What about the second and the third?
Then it's complicated because there's a lot of artists were people who were a bit special. I don't...
What are the first names coming to your mind?
But when I'm asked a question, there is no name coming to my mind. So I need to take a step back and think, because when I'm asked questions like that, my mind becomes blank. Yeah, I think it's cliche, but maybe Picasso or Dali.
Okay.
But the thing is, there are a lot of artists who have a very special personality. So it's complicated to say, oh, I would like to have lunch with them, because maybe they wouldn't be so nice. But then also the NFT artists...
What do you mean by complicated personality?
Oh,
name an artist.
Van Gogh.
With a complicated...
Van Gogh, for example. Would cut his ear. He has a special personality, and I don't know what he would have been like. Victor Hugo, he's known to not have been very nice with women. For example, it's some artists, they wanted to be nice, but they had a big ego. So it's
artists are very colorful in personalities also, right? They're not like formal, like business people who would always be very formal in talking and speaking and doing things, but they are whimsical and they can be colorful in different ways.
And
So there's a second.
nice, but I wouldn't necessarily know how to approach them.
Okay. Forget about approaching. You're just there and it is harmless for you. Nothing is going to happen for you. It is guaranteed. So there's the second part to the question. What question would you ask them? If you had to ask one question, what would you ask them? It can be a different question for different people.
Honestly,
So for the
I would
poet you
just
named,
ask what they're working on, because most artists at the times, I mean, they were recognized only after the death, and they were working on things which are, new kinds of art which was not necessarily really recognized by people of the time, art seen as provocative, and I would want to know their views on the art, that if they are aware of the innovation that they bring, what are the thoughts behind it, and to know a bit more about what is happening in their mind. It would be very interesting, and usually from my experience with artists, you ask a very simple question and they can go for hours, talk about fascinating things for hours. So that's
absolutely very interesting. So if you had to ask one question for the poet, to Picasso, to Van Gogh, what question would you ask? Like, what is the first question that comes to your mind? Just one question.
just what are you working on, but
Okay. So you'd ask, what are you working on, to all of the three? All right, fair enough.
yeah, it's very simple, but I would ask that. And
They would just show you. See, this is what I'm working on.
and that would be cool. I like to be shown things, and I like to know the process behind it. I like that.
Oh, awesome. So the artists listening here, we love seeing artwork in process. So do share your
Yes.
process videos.
Yes, I do. I really do. And I asked a question on Twitter the last time. I said I want to see your work in progress. And actually, I didn't expect so many answers. I got a lot more answers than I expected. I almost couldn't see everything. It was great. It was great because I love to see the artwork taking, the art is giving life to the artworks. It's fascinating, and seeing the choices that they make.
It's beautiful, no? It's a complete different experience seeing a completed work and seeing an artist actually draw that and do the process step by step, each layer by layer. It's a beautiful experience. I think they should have a different collection which is just made up of their process of making the artworks. That is a free idea for you. Take it.
There are some works in progress which are artworks in themselves, so which could be minted sometimes.
Absolutely, that would be beautiful to see. Okay, Cabline. Next are short answer questions. So, what is your favorite movie?
It changes all the time. It depends on my mood. I like the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
I was
Okay.
a fan of the books, but I know the movie is not an exact adaptation of the book. But I also like the movies.
The most impressionable part of Lord of Rings is my precious. My precious.
I used to do, I did that in the streets of Paris. I was saying my precious. I was young, and I was having fun. I was saying my precious, and people were looking at me thinking, "Oh, she's crazy." But yeah. But for Indian movies, it would be Devdas.
Oh, wow, very interesting. I still have to watch it because I remember some impressions when I was very young of watching it, but yeah, I'll go back and check it out. I had one question about France. Is it possible for tourists to come and just present their artwork on streets and sell it? Is it possible to sell artworks on street in Paris?
I don't know about legally, but the problem is would people buy it if you are in the street? It depends what kind of artwork it is, I guess. But I don't know about the legal part, honestly.
Okay, you don't. Okay, we'll find out. Let's check that out. And if you know, do comment below. All right. Next question. What's your favorite book? What is your favorite book? You're on mute.
Again, it was The Lord of the Rings, which was
Okay.
a book I read many, many, many times. So
Wow.
yeah, I really,
All
really
right.
liked it. And
What's your favorite food?
it's hard.
Snails.
Macaron, maybe.
Sorry?
Macaron.
What's that?
Macarons. I don't know how you say.
Macarons. Okay.
Yeah, I really like it. Yeah, I like things which are sweet, but also, yeah, I hesitate because I ate the sushis which was so good in Tokyo. It was
Okay.
amazing.
Have you
So-
seen any Lord of the Rings NFTs that you have wanted to buy? Or
Yeah,
just share it with me if you find or if you have collected.
but there is a Reza Ashvar. If I pronounce the name correctly, I'm sorry if I don't. Who is inspired by the Lord of the Rings and did very nice illustrations. But yeah, I did highlight some pieces on my Twitter.
All right. What is one thing that you cannot live without?
My computer.
Okay. What do you like to do for fun?
Well, it's complicated because my job is what I find fun. So
That is not complicated. That is probably something people aim for or wish for, that my job be fun. Awesome.
yes.
What's on your bucket list next?
Thing to do?
Yeah. What do you want to do next or for fun? Like bucket list or something that you haven't done but you wanted to do?
I want to go back to Japan because I had been learning Japanese and I went there in 2015. It was amazing. And I want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And
All right.
they closed the doors for when there was COVID and now it's open again. So I want to go back.
I had a I forgot the name for what the dress is. I forgot the name for what the dress is called, but this lady had come in who had bored ape on that traditional Japanese dress. We'll get her on the show as well very soon and share that photo with you. Your mic is mute.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Okay, anyways.
Nothing specific.
You don't need to, for the conversation till the end, you don't need to mute your mic because these are short answers. All right. What gets you excited about the future?
Well, when you see the amount of creativity there is in the space and the potential people who haven't seen it yet, I mean, I think it can only grow, and I'm very, very excited to see what it will look like. Also, with people from more countries also getting into NFTs, it would be great. Maybe more partnerships with museums that I really look forward to.
Talking about partnerships, has Objkt made partnership with Metaverse? Because I see Polygon doing that a lot, partnership with a lot of Metaverse and a lot of other institutes. Is Objkt or Tezos doing that?
With cyber galleries, we haven't. There are people doing exhibitions, but there is no partnership per se.
Okay. What is the most precious gift you have received?
So this time it was from my grandfather, but not the one who was an art expert. My grandfather from my father's side, he gifted me a book of Japanese woodblock, Japanese woodblock prints that were gifted to his own grandfather, who was in the military and went to Japan a very, very long time ago. So it has been passed on from generation in my family, and I have it now. And I think that's the best gift I ever received.
I would love to see that. If you can share the photos after this episode, I'll add it on the screen.
They are in my house in Versailles, but I don't know where. I would need to ask my parents to find it.
Okay, sure. No problem. No pressure. Cabline, it was so nice to have you today. You shared so many amazing insights, and it was so amazing to hear about art coming from you as a curator. You're so well versed with it. You talk about it with so much passion and enthusiasm. We got to know about a lot of things on Tezos and Objkt. So thank you very much for doing this show. What are your parting words for the audience?
Well, thank you so much. And, I don't know, enjoy life, enjoy NFTs.
Thank you. Cheers to you. One last question. I check mark countries. I have a list of countries that, okay, this speaker is done from this country. But I'm confused. I should mark you in Switzerland or I should mark you in France? I should mark this episode as French or Swiss?
I think as French, because I haven't been able to talk about the Switzerland art scene, because I am new to Switzerland, so I don't know yet about it. It would be great if you can interview someone from Switzerland, because they have an important art scene.
Yeah, sure. It will be great if you can connect with me, somebody on ground, somebody there. It'll be nice. I also think the collector Unchained Ninja is from Switzerland, but we'll find out and we'll get him also. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would request you to say cheese for a photograph that would go to the thumbnail of this show. Cheese.